Most people in their 20s are making a huge money mistake, and it's not buying coffee or spending too much on nights out. It's something much worse, and most people don't even realize they're doing it. They're wasting the most valuable thing they'll ever have. Not money, but time. This is John. He's 25, works a decent job, and makes about 1,500 euros a month. He pays his rent, saves a bit every month, and thinks he's doing everything right. He avoids big expenses, stays out of debt, and tells himself, I'll start investing later. Once I make more money, once life calms down. But what John doesn't realize is that by waiting, he's slowly losing the one advantage that could make him financially free: compound time. Imagine two versions of John. One starts investing 100 euros a month at 25. The other starts 10 years later at 35, but invests twice as much, 200 euros a month. Both invest until they're 60. Now here's the surprising part. The John who started earlier ends up with more money, even though he invested less of his own money overall. John A., who started at 25, invests 100 euros a month for 35 years. That's a total of 42,000 euros invested. At an 8% average annual return, his balance grows to around 215,000 euros. John B., who waited until 35, invests 200 euros a month for 25 years. A total of 60,000 euros invested. But by age 60, his account grows to only about 182,000 euros. So even though John B. invested 18,000 euros more, he still ends up with less money. That's the power of time. Time did what extra money couldn't. It multiplied itself. And that's the secret the wealthy understand. That money isn't what makes you rich. Time does. But here's the problem. When you're in your 20s, time feels endless. You think you have plenty of years ahead. And that's exactly why most people waste them. It's not because they're lazy. It's because they don't see what they're losing. You can't see compounding. You can only feel its absence years later. Let's do the math. If you invest 100 euros a month at 8% returns, after 35 years, you'll have about 215,000 euros. If you wait 10 years to start, you'll only have 91,000. And if you wait 20 years until you're 45, you'll end up with around 33,000. That's a 180,000 euro difference, all because of time. The difference between those who start early and those who wait isn't knowledge, luck, or income. It's urgency. In your 20s, you have a superpower that most people don't appreciate. The ability to let time do the hard work for you. You don't have to invest big amounts. You just need to stay consistent. Every euro you invest now can turn into 10 later. But every euro you don't invest, that's a small fortune you'll never see. And this is where most people go wrong. They underestimate how powerful time is and overestimate how much money they'll make later. They think, I'll start when I have more. But when more comes, expenses grow too. The new car, the nicer apartment, the trips, the family. And suddenly the extra money disappears just like before. So the problem was never money, it was habits. If you can't invest 50 euros when you make 1,000, you won't magically start doing it when you make 3,000. Because discipline doesn't come from money, it comes from mindset. And this mindset is what separates the wealthy from everyone else. Rich people think long-term. They don't ask, what will this make me today? They ask, what will this make me in 10 years? They understand that the small, boring steps, the ones nobody claps for, are what create real freedom later. They use their 20s to plant the seeds, because they know the 30s and 40s are when those seeds grow. Now let's talk about the second big mistake people make in their 20s. They save, but they don't invest. John feels safe watching his savings grow in a bank account. But there's a problem. Inflation is quietly eating it away. If prices rise 5% a year and your savings earn 1%, you're losing 4% of your money's value every year. 100 euros today is worth only 60 in 10 years. So when people say, I'll just save now and invest later, they don't realize they're actually moving backward. Money in the bank is like ice. The longer you hold it, the more it melts. Inflation doesn't care how hard you work. It quietly punishes those who keep their money still. And while you're saving for security, the people who invest are buying freedom. The only way to beat inflation is by owning assets. Things that grow faster than prices, stocks, ETFs, index funds, even real estate. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to stay in the game. Because consistency beats perfection every single time. But here's what most people never hear. Investing early doesn't just change your future. It changes how you think right now. You start caring about the long term. You see opportunity where others see risk. You stop chasing quick wins because you realize wealth isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. Every time John invests, even a small amount, he builds confidence. He learns patience. And he starts thinking like an owner, not just a consumer. That mindset shift is priceless. The good news is you don't need to be rich to start. You just need to start. Even small investments, 50, 100 euros a month, build the discipline and confidence that wealthy people rely on. Wealth isn't built by luck. It's built by repetition, by doing the same simple thing over and over for years. The earlier you start, the less effort it takes later, because time and compounding do most of the heavy lifting for you. Most people think you need to know everything before you begin, but that's another trap. The truth is, you'll learn by doing. Nobody becomes a confident investor by reading or waiting. They become one by starting. And even if you make mistakes, you'll recover faster. Because in your 20s, you have something money can't buy. Time to learn. The mistakes you make now will teach you lessons. That save you thousands later. The real risk isn't losing money, it's losing time. Most people in their 20s think they have plenty of time. But time is like a train. Once it leaves the station, you can't catch it running. Start with what you have, not with what you wish you had, because the perfect moment to begin never comes. And the cost of waiting isn't visible until it's too late. You don't just lose money by waiting. You lose momentum. You lose the confidence that comes from taking action. Once you start investing, even a little, you build belief. And that belief is what keeps you consistent. Think about every successful investor you've heard of. They didn't start big. They started early. They made mistakes, they lost money, but they learned, adjusted, and kept going. Because the goal isn't to win every time. It's to stay in the game long enough for compounding to work. The people who start early don't need to be perfect. They just need to keep going. So if you're in your 20s and waiting until you have more money, stop waiting. The biggest mistake isn't being broke. It's thinking you need to be rich to begin. The best investors don't wait for the right moment. They create it by starting small, starting early, and staying consistent. If you plant the seed now, the future version of you will thank you. Not because you were lucky, but because you didn't waste your time. If you want to see exactly how to start investing even when you're broke, check out my video right here. Why you should invest even if you're broke. It'll show you how to take your first step, even if all you have is 50 euros, because it's not about how much you start with. It's about starting before time runs out. And one day when you're 40, you'll look back at this moment and realize, this was the smartest decision you ever made.